5 days ago, everything I thought I knew about reality shattered in a SpaceX control room at 3:47 a.m. I'm Elon Musk. I build rockets, electric cars, and brain chips. I deal in cold, hard science. But what happened to me on that Tuesday morning? When every computer screen went dark and someone walked through solid titanium like it was air, changed everything. His message was simple. Humanity has 3 days to choose its future, and you're going to help them decide. 3 days later, my phone rang. A 12-year-old girl from Lagos, Nigeria, with an invention that defied physics and a story that would either save the world or prove I'd lost my mind. This is that story. Every impossible word of it. 5 days ago, I met Jesus Christ. I know how that sounds. Trust me, I've built rockets that land themselves. I've sent cars to space. I've created brain chips that let paralyzed people control computers with their thoughts. I deal in facts and data. Cold, hard science. But what happened to me in the SpaceX building in Hawthorne, California, at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning changed everything I thought I knew about reality. My name is Elon Musk. Maybe you know me from Tesla or SpaceX. Maybe you think I'm crazy for posting weird stuff on Twitter. But I'm about to tell you something that will sound even crazier. And every word of it is true. It started with a simple computer problem. Our Starship rocket was getting ready for its next trip to Mars. I was alone in the control room, looking at numbers on screens. Temperature readings, fuel levels, engine, data, normal stuff. Then every screen went black. I thought someone had unplugged something. Or maybe the power went out. But then, one by one, the screens came back on. But instead of rocket data, there was a message in big white letters. Elon, we need to talk. I laughed. Someone was playing a joke on me. Maybe one of my workers had hacked the computer system. My engineers love to mess around with technology. But then something strange happened. The room got cold. Really cold. Like someone had opened a giant freezer door. My breath started making little white clouds. The coffee in my cup began to steam, then it started to freeze. Ice crystals formed. On the surface, that's when I saw him. He didn't appear in a flash of light like in the movies. No angels singing. No bright beams from heaven. He just walked through the metal door of the control room like it was made of air. Just walked right through solid titanium like it wasn't even there. He was tall, maybe 6 feet. He had kind eyes that seemed to see everything, not just what was in front of him, but everything that had ever happened and everything that would happen. His clothes were normal, blue jeans and a white t-shirt. He looked like any guy you might see at the grocery store, except for his eyes. Those eyes had seen stars being born and planets dying. "Hello, Elon," he said. His voice was warm like a summer morning, but strong like thunder rolling across the sky. "Thank you for making time to see me." I couldn't speak. I've talked to presidents and kings. I've given speeches to thousands of people. I've debated with the smartest people in the world. But right then, I couldn't say a single word. All I could do was stare. "I know this is hard to believe," Jesus said, walking closer to my desk. "But humanity is standing at a crossroads. A big choice is coming, and you're going to help decide what happens next." He pointed to the computer screens around us. The rocket data was gone. Instead, I saw pictures I'd never seen before. Earth, from space, but it looked different. Brighter, more alive, like it was glowing with its own light. Then the pictures changed. The same planet, but dark and dead, gray and lifeless. 2 possible futures, he explained, his voice gentle but serious. One where people reach for the stars and find their true purpose. Another where they destroy themselves before they can take their first real steps into space. My hands were shaking. I finally found my voice. "Why are you telling me this? Why now?" Jesus smiled. For just a moment, the frozen room felt warm again, like standing near a fireplace on a winter night. "Because in 3 days, you're going to get a phone call. That call will test everything you believe about technology, about people, and about the power of choice. What you decide in that moment will decide which future becomes real." "What kind of phone call?" I managed to ask, but he was already starting to fade, becoming see-through like morning mist. "Remember, Elon, love is the most powerful force in the universe. More powerful than any rocket engine. More game-changing than any technology. The message I need you to share with the world isn't about punishment or being afraid. It's about hope." The room went back to normal temperature. The screens showed rocket data again. The only proof that anything had happened was the puddle of melted and refrozen coffee on my desk, but I knew it was real. As real as the rockets I've launched. As real as the satellites spinning around Earth right now. For 2 days, I told no one. I tried to convince myself it was just a dream. Maybe I'd been working too hard. Maybe I'd had too much caffeine and not enough sleep. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw those kind, ancient eyes. Every time I looked up at the stars, I heard his voice talking about humanity's future that I kept thinking about those 2 pictures he'd shown me. Earth glowing with life, or Earth dark and dead. A future where we reach the stars, or a future where we destroy ourselves first. On the 3rd day, exactly when he said it would happen, my phone rang. The number on the screen was from another country. I almost didn't answer. My assistant usually handles my calls, but something deep inside told me to pick up. Mr. Musk? The voice was young. A girl, maybe 12 years old. She spoke English, but with an accent I couldn't place. My name is Zara Okafor. I'm calling from Lagos, Nigeria. My heart started beating faster. Lagos, Nigeria, halfway around the world. How did you get this number? I asked, ready to hang up. Please don't hang up, she said quickly. I know this sounds crazy, but I had a dream about you 3 nights ago. A man in white clothes told me to call you. He said you would understand. My hand froze over the phone. 3 nights ago, the same night I met Jesus. What did this man look like? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He had kind eyes, Zara said. Really kind eyes. And he told me to tell you about my invention. He said it could help save the world, but only if you believed. The room started spinning. This couldn't be happening. But I had to know more. What kind of invention? I built a water cleaner using parts from old phones and solar panels, she said, sounding more confident now. It can clean any water, even the dirty water from our river. But it does something else too. Something I don't really understand. What do you mean? There was a pause. I could hear voices in the background, people talking in a language I didn't recognize. The water it makes, it's different, Zara continued. My little brother Kemi was very sick. The doctors said his heart was failing. They said he might die. But after he drank the water from my machine for 1 week, he got completely better. The doctors can't explain it. I felt chills run down my back. Zara, where exactly are you calling from? Lagos University Teaching Hospital, she said. I brought my machine here to show the doctors, but they don't believe me. They think it's some kind of trick. But Mr. Musk, I know it's real. The water, it feels like it has life in it. I looked out my office window at the blue California sky. Everything Jesus had told me came flooding back. 2 possible futures. A choice that would determine humanity's path. A phone call that would test everything I believed. Zara, I said carefully, I want you to stay exactly where you are. Don't let anyone touch your machine. Don't give it to anyone. I'm going to send people to help you. You believe me? She sounded shocked. I believe you, I said, and I meant every word. But Zara, this is very important. Has anyone else seen what your machine can do? Only my family and 1 doctor here, Dr. Adebayo. But he promised not to tell anyone until he understands how it works. Good. Keep it that way. I'm going to catch the next plane to Lagos. After I hung up, I sat in silence for 10 minutes. Then I called my security team and my pilot. If this 12-year-old girl in Nigeria had somehow created technology that could change the world, I needed to see it myself. But as I got ready for the trip, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into something much bigger than a simple invention. Jesus had said love was the most powerful force in the universe. What if this young girl had somehow found a way to put that power into water? What if she had discovered something that could bring people together instead of tearing them apart? The flight to Lagos would take 18 hours. 18 hours to decide whether I was about to become part of the greatest discovery in human history or the biggest fool on earth. But I knew one thing for certain. 3 days ago, Jesus Christ had walked through a metal door and told me humanity's future hung in the balance. Now a 12-year-old girl from Lagos was asking me to believe in miracles. And for the first time in my life, believing felt like the most logical thing in the world. The plane ride to Lagos felt like the longest 18 hours of my life. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I kept thinking about Zara's voice on the phone. So young, but so sure of what she had seen. My private jet has internet. So I spent the time researching everything I could about Lagos University Teaching Hospital. It's a real place. One of the biggest hospitals in West Africa. They treat thousands of patients every day. If something miraculous was happening there, someone would have noticed, but I also researched water purification technology. I know a lot about engineering, but water systems aren't my specialty. What I learned worried me. The kind of device Zara described, made from old phone parts and solar panels, shouldn't work at all. The science doesn't add up unless there was something else going on. Something beyond normal science that I kept thinking about Jesus walking through that metal door. About his eyes that seemed to hold the secrets of the universe. About his warning that humanity was at a crossroads. What if Zara's invention wasn't just technology? What if it was something more? When my plane finally landed in Lagos, the heat hit me like opening an oven door. Nigeria is hot and humid. The air feels thick enough to swim through, but I barely noticed. All I could think about was getting to the hospital.my driver, a friendly man named Olyamide, navigated through traffic that made Los Angeles freeways look empty. Cars, buses, motorcycles, and people all mixed together in a dance that somehow worked despite looking like chaos. "First time in Lagos, sir?" Olyamide asked in perfect English. "Yes," I said, watching the city rush past. "I'm here to see someone." "At the hospital." "Ah, LUTH. Very good hospital. My sister works there as a nurse. They help many people." As we drove, I saw a city full of life. Street vendors selling everything from fruits to phone cards. Children in school uniforms walking home. Business people in suits talking on cell phones. It was a modern African city, part traditional, part high-tech, all energy. But I also saw poverty. People living in small shacks. Children who looked hungry. Open sewers and polluted water. If Zara's device really worked, this city needed it desperately. Lagos University Teaching Hospital is huge. Multiple buildings connected by covered walkways. Hundreds of people coming and going. Patients, families, doctors, nurses. The sound of many languages mixing together. Dr. Emeka Adebayo met me at the main entrance. He was a tall man in his 50s with gray hair and tired eyes. Eyes that had seen too much suffering but hadn't given up hope. "Mr. Musk," he said, shaking my hand firmly. "I must admit, when young Zara told me she had called you, I thought she was making up stories. But here you are." "Here I am," I replied. "Where is she?" "In the children's ward with her brother. But first, I need to show you something." He led me through crowded hallways. The hospital smelled like disinfectant mixed with too many people. In too small a space. Crying babies. Worried conversations. This was healthcare for millions of people. Not enough beds, not enough medicine, but doctors and nurses who refused to give up. "Kemi Okafor was admitted 6 weeks ago," Dr. Adebayo explained as we walked. "Severe heart failure. Born with a defect in his heart muscle. We were preparing his family for the worst when his sister showed up with her contraption. We stopped. Outside a room where I could see a woman sitting beside a small bed. Through the window, a young boy was playing with toy cars. He looked perfectly healthy. Bright eyes, good color, full of energy. "That's Kemi," the doctor said. "According to every test we've run, his heart is now completely normal. The defect is gone. Not repaired, gone. As if it never existed." I stared at the boy through the window. "And you think it's because of the water?" "I'm a man of science, Mr. Musk. I believe in evidence, not miracles. But Kemi is the evidence, along with 12 other patients who have been drinking water from Zara's device." He handed me a tablet computer with medical charts and test results. Names, ages, diagnoses. A woman with diabetes whose blood sugar became normal after 3 days. An elderly man with kidney failure whose organs started working perfectly. A child with severe malnutrition who gained healthy weight in just 1 week. "Have you tested the water itself?" I asked. "That's what I wanted to show you." Dr. Adebayo led me to a small laboratory down the hall. The room was cramped but clean. Basic equipment, microscopes, computers, testing machines. On the counter sat Zara's invention. It looked exactly like what you'd expect a 12-year-old to build. Pieces of old cell phones, solar panels from calculators, copper wiring, PVC pipes, all held together with electrical tape and hope. It was the kind of thing kids make for science fair projects. "It looks like something a child would build," I said. "Because a child did build it." Came a voice behind me that I turned around and saw her. Zara Okafor. She was smaller than I'd expected. From her voice on the phone, maybe 4.5 feet tall. Bright, intelligent eyes. hair braided with colorful beads. She wore a simple yellow dress and sneakers that had seen better days, but there was something about her. The way she stood, the way she looked at me, like she knew things that most adults never learn. "Hello, Mr. Musk," she said, walking over and extending her small hand. "Thank you for coming all this way." "Hello, Zara. Your invention is quite impressive." She smiled. A kid's smile, but with wisdom behind it. "It's not really mine. I mean, I built it with my hands. But the design came to me in a dream. The same dream where I saw the man who told me to call you." Dr. Adebayo turned on the device. I watched as dirty water from a jar went in one end. Crystal clear water came out the other. But as I looked more closely, I noticed something strange. The clean water seemed to shimmer, like it had tiny lights in it that were almost too faint to see. "The molecular structure is unlike anything we've ever analyzed," Dr. Adebayo said, pointing to results on his computer screen. "Normal water molecules are random. They bounce around in chaos. But these molecules are organized in perfect geometric patterns. They should be impossible, but here they are." I took a glass of the water and held it up to the light. It looked normal, clear, clean water. But something about it felt different. Warmer somehow, even though it was room temperature. Like it was alive. "Zara," I said, turning to look down at her. "Tell me about the dream." She sat down on a plastic stool, her feet swinging back and forth. "I've been having them for months. Always the same man, always wearing white clothes. He would show me pictures of sick people getting better. Pictures of the earth covered in clean, pure water. Then 3 nights ago, the dream changed." "How did it change?" "He showed me you, Mr. Musk. He said you would understand because he had already spoken to you too." My hand started to shake slightly. The glass of water trembled. "What else did he tell you?" "That the water isn't just for healing bodies. It's for healing hearts too. He said people have forgotten how to love each other. They've forgotten how to take care of the earth. But if they drink this water, they start to remember." Dr. Adebayo cleared his throat. "There have been unusual effects among the patients and families. They seem calmer, more kind to each other. Families that were fighting have made up. It's subtle, but everyone notices it." I looked at the simple device again. Could this young girl have somehow created technology that healed both body and soul? And if so, what would happen when the world found out? "Zara," I said carefully, "how many people know about this?" "Just us and my family. And now you. We need to keep it that way for now. This is bigger than any of us realize." But even as I said the words, I wondered if it was already too late. In the age of cell phones and social media, how long could something this amazing stay secret? And what would people do when they learned that a 12-year-old girl from Lagos might hold the key to humanity's future? I looked into Zara's bright eyes and saw the same infinite depth I had seen in Jesus 3 days ago. This wasn't coincidence. This was all connected somehow. The question was I ready for whatever came next? I spent the next 3 days in Lagos, and every day brought new surprises. I brought in my best engineers from SpaceX, all sworn to secrecy. Dr. Sarah Chun, my top materials scientist. James Rodriguez, who designs our rocket engines. Lisa Park, our computer systems expert. They all said the same thing. What Zara had built should not work. But it did work. Better than anything we had ever seen. The engineering is impossible. Dr. Chen told me on our encrypted video call back to California. These phone batteries shouldn't have enough power to run this system. The solar panels are too small. The filtration method defies physics. But somehow, it produces perfect results. Every time. But the medical results were even more amazing. During my 3 days there, I watched miracles happen every day. A 5-year-old girl with cerebral palsy started walking after drinking the water for 2 days. An old man who had been blind for 10 years began to see shapes and colors. A teenage boy with severe asthma threw away his inhaler because he could breathe perfectly. But the strangest part wasn't the physical healing. It was how people acted that I saw it myself. Families who had been shouting at each other in the waiting room started helping each other instead. Patients shared their food with strangers. A rich businessman gave his private room to a poor family and slept on a bench in the hallway with a smile on his face. "It's not mind control," Zara explained as we sat in the hospital garden on my second day there. "The water doesn't make people do anything. It just helps them remember who they really are underneath all the hurt and anger." "And you learned how to build this from a dream?" I asked for the 10th time. She nodded patiently. The man in white showed me exactly how to put it together. He said love is like water. It needs to flow to stay clean. When people stop loving, they get sick in their hearts. This water helps the love flow again. That evening, I made a decision that would change everything. I called my brother Kimball, the only person I trusted completely with something this important. "Kimball," I said when he answered, "I need you to come to Lagos immediately and bring Mom." "Elon, what's going on? You sound different." "Like, I don't know. Like something big happened. Something big did happen. I found someone. A girl who might be able to change the world." "What kind of girl?" I looked out my hotel window at the Lagos skyline. Lights twinkled in the darkness like stars. Somewhere in this city, a 12-year-old was sleeping peacefully, not knowing that she held humanity's future in her small hands. The kind who dreams of miracles and makes them real. 2 days later, my family arrived. Mom, at 76, was curious but careful. She had seen a lot of life and didn't believe in things easily. Kimball was fascinated but worried. "If this gets out before we're ready," he said as we sat in Dr. Adebayo's office, "every government in the world will want to control it. Every big company will want to own it. Or destroy it," Mom added quietly. "Some people make money from other people's suffering, Elon. They won't like a solution that can't be bought or controlled." That's when Zara spoke up. She had been sitting quietly in the corner, drawing pictures in a notebook while the adults talked. "That's why he told me to call Mr. Musk," she said without looking up from her drawing. "He said Mr. Musk knows how to share things with the whole world at the same time, so no one person can stop it." She showed us her drawing. It was amazingly detailed for a child. A map of the world with dots of light spreading from city to city, country to country. At the center was a simple water device like hers. "This is what he showed me in the dream," she said. "The water isn't meant for just a few rich people. It's meant for everyone. Poor people, rich people, all skin colors, all countries. The earth is sick because people forgot they're all one big family." I stared at the drawing, remembering Jesus' words about love being the most powerful force in the universe. What if Zara's device wasn't just technology? What if it was a way to deliver something much more important? "How many of these devices can you build?" I asked. "I don't know," Zara said. "But in my dreams, I see many people building them. He teaches them the same way he taught me." "What do you mean?" "The dreams are spreading, Mr. Musk. Yesterday, 3 children from India called me. They said they had the same dream and learned how to build the same machine. A boy in Brazil, a girl in Kenya. The man in white is teaching many of us at the same time." Dr. Adebayo pulled out his phone. "I've been getting calls all week from doctors around the world. Children showing up at hospitals with homemade devices, claiming they learned how to build them in dreams." I thought it was some kind of joke, until he showed us news articles on his screen. Small stories, mostly buried in local newspapers. Child inventor creates water purifier in Mumbai. Young scientist surprises doctors in Sao Paulo. Kenyan girl's device helps drought victims. "It's already starting," I whispered. Mom put her hand on my shoulder. "The question is, son, what are you going to do about it?" I looked at Zara, still peacefully drawing her map of hope. Somewhere around the world, other children were having the same dreams, building the same impossible devices, preparing to change everything. But I also knew that when this story got out, the world would go crazy. Some people would call it the greatest discovery in history. Others would call it dangerous fake science. Governments would panic. Companies would sue. Religious leaders would argue about whether it was holy or evil. "Zara," I said, "are you ready for what's about to happen when people find out about this?" She looked up at me with those wise young eyes. "I've been ready since the first dream, Mr. Musk. But remember what he told you. This isn't really about the water machines." "What do you mean?" "The water machines are just the beginning. They help people remember how to love. But when people remember love, they want to do more than just heal themselves. They want to heal everything. The animals, the trees, the air, even the stars." She pulled out another drawing. This one showed the earth surrounded by gentle light, with streams of that same light reaching out to other planets, other stars. "He showed me this last night," she said. "He said when people remember how to love Earth, they'll be ready to love other worlds too. Your rockets, Mr. Musk, they're part of the plan." I stared at the drawing, understanding flooding through me like cold water. The meeting with Jesus, the water devices, the spreading dreams. It was all connected somehow. Humanity wasn't just being healed. We were being prepared for something much bigger. What else did he show you? I whispered as Zara's eyes sparkled with excitement. That's the best part, Mr. Musk. But he said you have to tell the world about the water first. Then, when people are ready, he'll show everyone what comes next. As I prepared to fly back to California, that night, I knew my life would never be the same. In less than a week, I would stand before the world and share the most incredible story ever told. The story of a 12-year-old girl who dreamed of healing the world. The story of water that could cure both sickness and hatred. The story of love. Becoming technology that anyone could build and no one could own. But first, I had to convince the most important person of all, myself, that I was brave enough to do it. The flight back to California felt different than the trip to Lagos. I wasn't nervous anymore. I was scared. There's a difference. Nervous is when you don't know what might happen. Scared is when you know exactly what will happen, and it's going to be huge. That I had brought samples of Zara's water back with me. 12 glass bottles, carefully packed and labeled. Dr. Chun met me at the airport with a full testing team. We drove straight to our most secure lab at SpaceX. Run every test you can think of, I told her. I want to know everything about this water. What makes it different? How it works? Whether it's safe. For the next 48 hours, my team worked around the clock. The results were impossible and absolutely real at the same time. Elon, Dr. Chin called me at 3 a.m. on the second night. You need to see this. I rushed to the lab. She was standing in front of a huge computer screen showing molecular diagrams that looked like artwork. Beautiful, perfect patterns. The water isn't just clean, she said, pointing at the screen. It's organized at the molecular level in ways that shouldn't exist in nature. Every water molecule is arranged in perfect geometric patterns, like someone programmed them. Programmed them to do what? To carry information, healing information. Each molecule seems to contain instructions for perfect cellular function. It's like, she paused, trying to find the right words. It's like the water remembers what perfect health looks like and teaches that to whatever it touches. I stared at the patterns on the screen. They were beautiful, sacred almost. How is this possible? I don't know. But Elon, there's something else. Something that might explain why the patients in Lagos got better so fast. She pulled up another screen showing brain scans. We tested the water on lab mice first. Within hours, their brain chemistry changed. Stress hormones dropped to almost zero. Happy chemicals increased by 400%. It's not just healing their bodies, it's healing their minds. You mean it makes them feel good? More than that. It seems to activate the parts of the brain responsible for love, compassion, and connection. The mice that drank this water started helping each other, sharing food, taking care of sick mice. Behavior we've never seen before. I thought about the families in Lagos. The businessman who gave up his room. The patients sharing food with strangers. It wasn't just random kindness. The water was somehow helping people remember how to love, but the biggest test was still coming. Dr. Chun, I said, I want you to test it on human volunteers, starting with me. Elon, we don't know the long-term effects. It could be dangerous. Look at those brain scans. Look at the molecular patterns. This isn't dangerous. It's the opposite of dangerous. And I've already been exposed to it in Lagos. I drank a full glass of Zara's water that morning. Within an hour, I felt different. Not sick or strange, just clearer, like someone had cleaned the windows of my mind. Colors seemed brighter. Sounds were sharper. But the biggest change was emotional. All the anger I usually carried about stupid regulations, about people who said my ideas were impossible, about critics who attacked everything I tried to do, it just melted away. Instead, I felt connected to everything. To my team, to my family, to strangers on the street. For the first time in years, I felt genuinely happy. Over the next 3 days, 12 SpaceX employees volunteered to try the water. The results were the same every time. Better mood, clearer thinking, increased empathy, and no negative side effects at all. But we also discovered something that worried me. The effects were off, Dr. Chin reported. After about a week without drinking the water, people go back to their normal brain chemistry. It's not permanent. That's actually good news, I said. It means it's not addictive or dangerous, but it also means we'd need a constant supply. Which brings us back to the original problem. How do we make enough of these devices for everyone who needs them? That evening, I got my answer. Zara called me from Lagos, more excited than I'd ever heard her. Mr. Musk, the most amazing thing happened. Today, 15 children came to the hospital, all from different parts of Nigeria, all carrying water devices exactly like mine. How did they know to come there? They all had the same dream last night. The man in white told them to bring their machines to me. He said it was time to teach each other. Teach each other what? How to make the devices better, simpler, easier to build. Mr. Musk, when we put all our devices together and connected them, something incredible happened. What? The water got stronger, much stronger. A man who had been paralyzed for 5 years started walking after just one sip. A blind woman could suddenly see perfectly. It's like when we work together, the love in the water multiplies. I felt chills run down my spine. Zara, how many children are having these dreams now? Hundreds, maybe thousands. Every day, I get calls from children around the world. They're all building the same devices, all having dreams about the man in white, all being told to work together. What else are they being told? That it's almost time, Mr. Musk. Time for you to tell everyone what's happening. He said the world is ready to choose. Choose what? Whether they want to keep fighting each other over water and medicine and money, or whether they want to share the gifts that can heal everyone. After the call, I sat in my office looking out at the night sky. Somewhere up there, among those stars, was the future Jesus had shown me. 2 possible paths for humanity. One leading to the stars and unlimited potential. Another leading to destruction and darkness. And somehow, the choice between those futures was in my hands that I pulled up my computer and started typing. A presentation that would change the world. 47 slides documenting everything I had witnessed in Lagos. Photos of Zara's device. Medical records showing impossible healings. Water analysis revealing molecular structures that defied physics. Tomorrow morning, I would share this presentation with the world. On Twitter, on Tesla's website, on SpaceX's media channels. Millions of people would see it. The story would spread faster than any rocket I had ever built. But as I worked on the presentation, I kept thinking about something Zara had said. The water devices were just the beginning. Jesus had bigger plans. Plans that involved my rockets and space travel. What if healing Earth was just the first step? What if the real mission was to take this love-based technology to other planets, other solar systems? What if humanity was being prepared not just to heal our own world, but to become healers of the entire universe? I looked at the final slide of my presentation. It was a simple question. Are you ready to choose love over fear? In 12 hours, I would find out if humanity was brave enough to say yes that I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about the presentation sitting on my computer. 47 slides that would either change the world or make me look like the biggest fool on the planet. At 6 a.m., my secure phone rang. It was Dr. James Martinez from the CDC in Atlanta. Elon, we have a situation, he said without saying hello. First, are you aware of what's happening with these water devices? My heart started beating faster. What do you mean? In the last 24 hours, we've gotten reports from 19 countries. Children, mostly between ages 8 and 15, building identical water cleaning systems. The designs are too complex for kids to create on their own, but somehow they all know exactly how to build them. I sat up in bed. What kind of reports? Medical miracles? Impossible healings? The water these devices make is unlike anything our scientists have ever seen. The World Health Organization just declared it a global phenomenon of unknown origin. I looked out my window at the California sunrise. Across the world, children were waking up from dreams that taught them how to build impossible machines. Jim, I said carefully, what if it's not unknown? What if there's an explanation we're just not ready to accept? What are you talking about? I'm talking about something I've witnessed with my own eyes. Water that heals not just bodies, but hearts. Children who know how to build technology they've never seen before. Families learning to love each other again. There was a long silence. Elon, do you hear yourself? You're talking about some kind of religious miracle. I'm talking about something that works. Something that's helping people. Something that could change everything if we're brave enough to accept it. And if you're wrong? If this is some kind of mass hysteria or dangerous chemical? I thought about Jesus's words about love being the most powerful force in the universe. About Zara's simple faith that grown-ups had forgotten how to dream big dreams. Then we'll deal with the consequences, I said. But if I'm right, we're witnessing the birth of a new age for humanity. After the call, I couldn't go back to sleep. I walked to my office and opened the presentation one more time. In 3 hours, I would go live on every platform I controlled: Twitter, Tesla's website, SpaceX's media channels. Millions of people would watch. My phone kept buzzing with messages. My PR team begging me to reconsider. My lawyers sending warnings about legal problems. My board members demanding emergency meetings. None of it mattered anymore. At 9 a.m. Pacific time, I went live. Within minutes, millions of people were watching. The chat feeds exploded with comments in dozens of languages as I began to speak. 6 days ago, I met Jesus Christ, I said, looking directly into the camera. I know how that sounds coming from someone who builds rockets for a living. But what happened next proves that the impossible is just another engineering problem waiting to be solved. I shared everything. The encounter in the control room, the phone call from Zara, the miraculous healings in Lagos, the molecular analysis of water that defied physics, the children around the world building identical devices from shared dreams. The reaction was instant and intense. Twitter exploded with hashtags. Hashtag Elon met Jesus, hashtag miracle water, hashtag Zara invention, hashtag dreams of hope. Religious leaders called it either the second coming or terrible lies. Scientists demanded more testing. Governments issued warnings about unproven medical claims. But something else happened that I hadn't expected. Within hours, parents began posting videos of their children. Kids as young as 7 claiming they had dreamed of the water device. Teenagers in suburban garages, refugee camps, and small villages, all building the same impossible machine. Dr. Patricia Williams from Johns Hopkins called my private line. Elon, I just tested water from a device built by a 10-year-old in Baltimore. The molecular structure matches your data exactly. How is this possible? Similar calls came from doctors in Tokyo, London, Sydney, and Sao Paulo. The dream was spreading faster than any disease, but instead of making people sick, it was creating healers. By noon, there were problems. The FDA issued an emergency warning, telling people not to drink unregulated water. Several countries banned the import of water devices. Stock prices for drug companies crashed while water company stocks went way up, but the children kept building. And the water kept healing. I spent the afternoon doing interviews with news networks around the world. Most reporters were suspicious, some were hostile, but a few understood what they were witnessing. Mr. Musk asked Sarah Chun from BBC World Service, even if we accept that these devices work, how do we know they're safe long-term? Shouldn't we study them more before people start drinking this water? Sarah, I replied, we've been studying everything to death for decades while people suffer and die from diseases we could prevent. Sometimes you have to trust in something bigger than test tubes and safety studies. Are you saying we should abandon science for faith? I'm saying that love is the most practical force in the universe. And sometimes, science needs to catch up to miracles instead of the other way around. The real breakthrough came that evening. Dr. Chun called with results from our most advanced testing. Elon, we found something incredible. The water doesn't just have an unusual molecular structure. It carries information. Quantum information. It's like each molecule is programmed with instructions for perfect health. You mean it's actually technology? The most advanced technology we've ever seen. But here's the impossible part. It's not artificial. The quantum patterns match biological systems, but perfected. It's as if someone took the blueprint for life and made it better. That night, I video called Zara in Lagos. She was surrounded by children from around the world, all working on their own water devices. The hospital had given them an entire building to use as a workshop. Mr. Musk, she said excitedly, did you see the news? Children everywhere are having the dreams. I saw. How are you handling all this attention? It's wonderful, but also scary. Some grown-ups want to take our machines away. They say we're too young to understand what we're doing. What do you think about that? Zara looked thoughtful. I think grown-ups forgot how to dream big dreams. They make everything complicated because they're afraid of simple answers. And what's the simple answer? That love works. It always has. People just forgot how to use it. Behind her, I could see other children nodding in agreement. These weren't just kids building science projects. They were part of something that was changing humanity's understanding of what was possible. Zara, I said, the man in white has He's spoken to you again." Her eyes lit up like stars. "Last night, he showed me something new. Something about what happens next." "What did he show you?" "That the water devices are just the beginning. He said when enough people remember how to love, they'll be ready for the next gift." "What gift?" But before she could answer, the video connection cut out. Power outages were becoming common around the world as governments tried to control information. Similar problems were happening everywhere as authorities struggled to contain what they couldn't understand. That I stared at the blank screen, wondering what gift Jesus had shown Zara, and whether humanity would be ready to receive it. Outside my window, the first stars were appearing in the darkening sky. Somewhere among those distant lights was the future Jesus had promised, a universe where love was more powerful than any technology. But first, we had to survive what was coming next, because I had a feeling that some people would do anything to stop what the children had started. I was right about people trying to stop the children. The attacks started within hours of my broadcast. The first call came from Senator Margaret Hayes, chair of the Senate Health Committee. "Mr. Musk, you need to issue a retraction immediately," she said without even saying hello. "What you've done is irresponsible and dangerous. People are drinking untested water based on the dreams of children." "Senator, have you looked at the medical evidence? The molecular analysis? The healing results? I've looked at your presentation, and it reads like science fiction. We have reports of people abandoning real medical treatment to chase after miracle cures. If someone dies because of this, their blood is on your hands. And if someone lives because of this, if a child with cancer gets healed, if families start loving each other again, what then? Mr. Musk, I'm giving you 24 hours to retract your statements, or we'll be forced to take legal action." She hung up before I could respond. The second attack came from Dr. Marcus Webb, former head of the CDC. He held a press conference that was broadcast worldwide. "What Elon Musk is promoting is not science. It's dangerous fantasy," he declared to a room full of reporters. "These so-called miracle cures are nothing more than the placebo effect. We've tested samples of this miracle water and found nothing unusual." He held up a glass of clear liquid. "This is ordinary tap water. Any healing effects people think they're experiencing are purely psychological." Mr. Musk has weaponized hope for personal gain. I watched his press conference from my office, knowing he was lying. Not about the water he was holding, that probably was ordinary water, but about testing real samples from the children's devices. Because every genuine sample we had analyzed showed the same impossible molecular structure. The third attack was the worst. It came from my own board of directors. "Elon," said Janet Morrison, Tesla's lead board member, during an emergency video call, "we need to discuss your recent statements. You mean sharing the most important discovery in human history. We mean damaging Tesla's reputation with unproven claims about religious miracles. Our stock price has dropped 15% since your broadcast. Our investors are panicking." "Janet, what if I told you that Tesla's technology, our batteries, our solar panels, our electric cars, could all be improved using the principles we've discovered in this water? What if clean energy and healing technology could work together?" I'd say you've lost touch with reality. "Elon, we're calling for a vote of no confidence. Unless you retract these statements and apologize publicly, we'll remove you as CEO." "Do what you have to do," I said, and ended the call. But the real attack came from an unexpected source. That evening, Dr. Adebayo called me from Lagos, and his voice was shaking. "Elon, they came for the children." "Who came?" "Government officials, military police. They shut down our workshop and confiscated all the water devices. They're calling it a public health emergency." My blood ran cold. "Where are the children now?" "Most are safe. Their families hid them." "But Zara," his voice broke. "They took Zara." "What do you mean they took her?" "They said she needed to be evaluated by experts. They put her in a government facility for her own protection." "Elon, she's just a 12-year-old girl. She's scared and alone." I was already reaching for my phone to call my pilot. "Which facility?" "I'm coming back to Lagos immediately." That's not all. Similar raids happened in 12 other countries today. Children building water devices were taken from their families. The devices were destroyed. The governments are calling it Operation Clean Water, designed to protect people from dangerous medical fraud. I felt rage building in my chest like fire. They were kidnapping children whose only crime was dreaming of a better world. Dr. Adebayo, do you know where they're holding Zara? A military medical facility outside Lagos. But Elon, you can't get her out. They have guards, security, systems. It's impossible. I don't believe in impossible anymore, I said. Keep trying to find out more. I'll be there in 18 hours. After the call, I sat in my empty office feeling more alone than I had in years. For all my wealth and influence, I couldn't protect a child from governments that feared what she represented. That's when I heard a familiar voice behind me. You're not alone, Elon. I turned around, and Jesus was there. But he looked different this time, sadder somehow, as if he was carrying the weight of every child who had ever suffered. They took her, I said, my voice breaking. They took Zara. No, he said gently, moving to sit beside me. This is the choice I warned you about. When love threatens systems built on fear and control, those systems fight back. What do I do? How do I save her? The same way you've always solved impossible problems. By believing that love is stronger than fear, even when it doesn't look that way. Jesus gestured toward my computer screen, which showed news reports from around the world. Children in hiding, water devices being destroyed, families separated. This darkness was always going to come, he said. But look closer. The news reports changed, showing different stories. Parents protecting their children. Doctors hiding water samples from government agents. Ordinary people sharing videos of the healing they had witnessed. For every person trying to stop this, 10 more are trying to help it grow. The dreams are spreading faster than any government can control them. Love always finds a way. But what about Zara? What about the other children? They volunteered for this mission knowing it would be dangerous. These children are braver than most adults, Elon. They're not victims, they're warriors of love. I looked at him through tears. I didn't know I was crying. What happens next? Tomorrow, you make the most important decision of your life. Not whether to continue fighting. That choice was made the moment you answered Zara's phone call. The choice is how to fight. I don't understand. Jesus stood and walked to the window overlooking the SpaceX factory floor where we built rockets destined for Mars. You can fight this battle using the world's weapons, lawyers, money, political influence. You might even win, but you'll become part of the system you're trying to change. He turned back to me, his eyes holding infinite compassion. Or you can fight using love's weapons, truth, hope, and the power of people who refuse to give up on impossible dreams. What does that mean practically? It means trusting that the children don't need you to save them. They need you to do what you do best. Turn impossible dreams into reality that no one can deny. Jesus moved toward the door, but I had one more question. Lord, will we win? Will love really triumph over fear? He paused, his hand on the door that he didn't actually need to use. The outcome was never in doubt, Elon. Love already won. The only question is how many people will choose to be part of the victory. After he left, I sat alone with my thoughts and my choices. In 6 hours, I would either continue this fight or surrender to the forces trying to stop it. I looked at my reflection in the computer screen and saw not the richest man in the world, but a father who refused to let children suffer for dreaming of a better future. The decision was already made. Tomorrow, I would show the world what love could really do. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I spent the hours before dawn doing something I'd never done before. I prepared to fight the most powerful people in the world using nothing but truth at 5 a.m. I called an emergency meeting of every journalist, scientist, and world leader who would listen. Not the usual press conference in a fancy hotel. This time, I invited them to the SpaceX factory floor, surrounded by rockets that had once seemed impossible. I'm going to tell you a story. I began, looking at the crowd of reporters, cameras, and skeptical faces. A story about a 12-year-old girl who's braver than any adult in this room, including me. I told them about Zara, not just the water device, but her. The way she smiled when talking about helping sick people. How she worried more about her little brother than herself. How she drew pictures of a healed world while adults argued about stock prices. Yesterday, government officials took this child from her family. I said, my voice getting stronger. They destroyed her invention and scattered the other children who were working with her. They did this in the name of protecting people from hope. I could see some reporters shifting uncomfortably. This wasn't the usual tech announcement they'd expected. But here's what they don't understand. I continued. You can't arrest dreams. You can't confiscate love, and you sure can't stop children from believing in miracles. I pulled out my phone and opened a video call. On the screen appeared 15 young faces from around the world. Children in hiding, but still building, still dreaming, still refusing to give up. Tell them, kids, I said to the screen. A boy from Mumbai spoke first. I'm Raj. I'm 9 years old. Last night, I dreamed of a new design. Smaller, simpler, harder to detect. I built it this morning. A girl from Sao Paulo was next. I'm Maria. I'm 11. My device is working better than before. The love is getting stronger. One by one, children from every continent shared their stories. Not just about water devices, but about families healing, communities coming together, hope spreading faster than any government could stop it. The room of hardened journalists was silent. Some were crying. This is what they're trying to destroy, I said. Not technology, not science. They're trying to destroy the idea that ordinary people, even children, can change the world. Dr. Sarah Chun stepped forward with a cart full of equipment. We're going to prove to you, right here, right now, that this water works exactly as claimed. She had brought a new device, built by a teenager in Detroit who'd had the dream just 2 days ago. Live, in front of 50 cameras, she poured dirty water from the Los Angeles River into one end. Crystal clear, shimmering water came out the other. We'll test this water using equipment you can see and verify, Dr. Chen announced. Molecular analysis, cellular impact studies, everything transparent and public. For the next 2 hours, I let science speak for itself. Every test confirmed what we'd found in Lagos. The water was molecularly restructured in impossible ways. It carried quantum information. It healed both bodies and hearts. But the real proof came when Dr. Patricia Williams from Johns Hopkins stood up in the audience. Mr. Musk, she said, I need to tell you something. 3 days ago, my 7-year-old grandson was diagnosed with leukemia. Stage 4. Terminal. Against all medical advice, I gave him water from a device built by a child. In Baltimore. She paused, tears running down her face. This morning, his blood tests came back completely normal. No cancer cells. No trace of disease. The oncologists are calling it medically impossible. The room erupted. Reporters shouting questions. Cameras flashing. But I held up my hand for silence. That's just one story, I said. But it's happening everywhere. Children with cancer getting healed. Families learning to love each other again. Communities that have fought for generations working together. I looked directly into the main camera. The question isn't whether. This is real. The question is what we do about it. Within hours of the broadcast, something unexpected happened. Instead of government crackdowns getting stronger, they started falling apart. Parents around the world took to the streets demanding the release of the children. Doctors began publicly sharing their own miracle stories. Even some politicians started admitting they'd seen the evidence and couldn't deny it anymore. But the biggest surprise came from an unexpected source. An MY phone rang at 3 p.m. The caller ID showed White House. Mr. Musk, this is President Johnson. We need to talk. Mr. President, I watched your broadcast this morning. So did my wife. And our daughter. There was a long pause. Mr. Musk, our daughter has been having the dreams too. I nearly dropped the phone. Your daughter? She's 14. Last night, she woke up knowing exactly how to build one of these water devices. We thought she was having nightmares about your broadcast. But then, another pause. Then she built it. And it works. Mr. President, what are you saying? I'm saying maybe it's time we stopped fighting this and started helping it. Can you get me a secure line to the other world leaders? I think we need to have a very different conversation. That evening, something unprecedented happened. Instead of hiding the children, governments began protecting them. Instead of destroying the devices, scientists began studying how to make them better. The turning point came when the Pope himself issued a statement. Throughout history, God has worked through the faith of children to show adults what love looks like. Today is no different. But the most important call came at midnight. Dr. Adebayo from Lagos. Elon, they released Zara. Not just her, all the children. The Nigerian government issued an official apology and offered to provide resources for the children's work. How is she? Excited. She says the man in white visited her in the facility last night. He told her phase 2 is about to begin. Phase 2. She won't tell me what it is. She says she needs to show you in person. She's asking if you can come back to Lagos. She's asking. What? Because apparently, the next gift isn't just for Earth. She says it's time to heal the stars themselves. I looked out my office window at the night sky, trying to process what Dr. Adebayo had just told me. The water devices had been just the beginning. Jesus had something bigger planned. Something that involved not just healing our planet, but reaching beyond it. Tell Zara I'll be on the next flight, I said. And Dr. Adebayo? Ask her to keep dreaming. I have a feeling we're going to need all the miracles we can get. As I prepared for my second trip to Lagos, I realized that everything, the rockets, the satellites, the dream of making life multiplanetary, had been preparing me for this moment. The moment when humanity would learn that love wasn't just the most powerful force on Earth, it was the most powerful force in the entire universe. And tomorrow, I would discover what that really meant. The flight back to Lagos felt different this time. Instead of traveling alone, I was accompanied by Dr. Chun and a team of NASA scientists. Word had spread through the scientific community about what was happening, and the world's best researchers wanted to see it for themselves. But more importantly, I wasn't flying into uncertainty anymore. I was flying toward answers. When we landed in Lagos, the change was immediate and obvious. What had been a chaotic, struggling city just weeks ago was now something else entirely. The streets were cleaner. The air smelled fresher. Even the traffic seemed to flow more smoothly. It's the water, Dr. Adebayo explained as we drove to the hospital. The children have been placing their devices throughout the city's water system, not just cleaning the water, but somehow improving everything the water touches. I could see what he meant. Gardens that had been brown and dying were now green and flourishing. Construction workers were helping each other instead of arguing. Even the stray dogs looked healthier and happier. How many devices are active now? I asked. In Lagos? Maybe 50. But the children tell me there are thousands around the world now. The network is growing faster than we can track. At the hospital, I found Zara in the children's workshop, which was now an entire building. But she wasn't alone. Children from 6 different countries were there, all working together on something that looked nothing like the original water devices. Mr. Musk, Zara ran over and hugged me like I was family. You came back. I promised I would. Are you okay? Did they hurt you when they took you? They were scared, not mean, she said with the wisdom of someone much older. They didn't understand that fear can't stop love. But the man in white visited me there and showed me why it had to happen. What? Because the grown-ups needed to choose. They could fight against the children and fail, or they could help the children and succeed. Most of them chose to help. She led me to the center of the workshop, where the children were assembled around a device that defied description. It looked like a crystal sculpture merged with advanced electronics, pulsing with the same gentle light I'd seen in the water. This is Generation 7. Zara announced proudly. It doesn't just clean water anymore. What does it do? A boy from Mumbai named Raj stepped forward. It cleans everything. Water, air, soil, even thoughts and feelings. When people are near it, they remember how to love. Dr. Chin immediately began scanning the device with her instruments. The energy readings are incredible, she whispered to me. It's somehow affecting the quantum field in a radius of nearly a mile. What does that mean? I asked. It means this. Device is doing more than healing. It's changing the fundamental nature of reality in its immediate area. I looked around the workshop, trying to understand. All the children seemed calmer, happier, more focused than any kids I'd ever met. But it wasn't just the children. The adults, doctors, nurses, even security guards, all moved with a kind of peaceful purpose. Zara? I said. You mentioned phase 2. What comes next? Her eyes sparkled with excitement, but also something deeper. Something that looked almost like sadness. That's why you needed to come back, Mr. Musk. He wants to tell you himself. Before I could ask who he was, the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Every device in the workshop began glowing brighter. The children all turned toward the door with smiles of pure joy. Jesus walked into the room as naturally as if he'd been expected. But this time, he looked different again. More radiant. More complete somehow. Hello, Elon, he said, his voice carrying harmonies I'd never heard before. Thank you for protecting my children. I didn't protect them, I said. They protected themselves. They protected all of us. You chose love over fear when fear seemed more powerful. That's all the protection love ever needs. Jesus moved to the center of the room, surrounded by children from around the world. But now I could see that there were more children present than could physically fit in the space. Somehow, kids from every continent were here, even though I knew they were still in their home countries. The water devices were the first gift, Jesus explained, gesturing to the glowing crystal device. They taught humanity that love could heal bodies and hearts. But this second gift does something more important. What? It heals the connections between all living things. Not just people, but animals, plants, the earth itself. When enough of these devices are placed around the world, they create a network of love that touches everything. Dr. Chun was frantically taking readings. The quantum effects are expanding, she reported. It's like each device is communicating with all the others, creating a global field of, I don't know what to call it. Call it what it is, Jesus said with a smile. Conscious love made manifest in physical reality. I looked at the device, then at the children, then at Jesus. How many of these would we need? 144, said a girl from Kenya named Amara. Placed at specific locations around the earth. We already have the coordinates. And then what happens? Jesus' expression grew serious, but not frightening. More like a parent, about to share wonderful but overwhelming news. Then the earth wakes up, Elon. Not metaphorically, literally. The planet itself becomes conscious, alive, able to heal itself and communicate with other living worlds throughout the universe. I felt my knees go weak. You're talking about turning Earth into a living being. Earth has always been a living being, Jesus corrected gently. Humanity just forgot how to hear her voice. These devices don't create consciousness, they remove the barriers that prevent you from recognizing the consciousness that was always there. Zara stepped forward, holding a tablet with star charts I'd never seen before. And once Earth wakes up, Mr. Musk, she'll be able to talk to her sisters. Her sisters? Other living planets throughout the galaxy. Worlds that have been waiting for Earth to remember who she really is. Jesus nodded. Your rockets, your satellites, your dream of making life multiplanetary. It was all preparation for this moment. When Earth awakens, humanity will be invited to join a community of conscious worlds that spans the entire universe. I stared at the star charts, showing pathways between living planets connected by streams of conscious energy. This is why you appeared to me. This is why you chose Zara and the other children. This is why you chose to incarnate on Earth at this time, Jesus said, and something in his tone made me look up sharply. What do you mean? He smiled with infinite compassion. That's the third revelation, Elon, the one that explains everything. But first, we need to place the remaining devices and wake up the Earth. How long do we have? The network needs to be complete by the full moon. 3 weeks from today. I looked around the room at children who were preparing to change the fundamental nature of reality itself. What do you need from me? The same thing you've given from the beginning, Zara said. Believe in impossible things and help make them real. Jesus placed his hand on my shoulder, and for a moment I could see the entire plan. Earth awakening, other planets responding, humanity taking its first steps into a universe filled with conscious, loving worlds. Are you ready, Elon? He asked. That I looked at the children, at the impossible device, at the star charts showing a future beyond anything I'd ever imagined. I'm ready, I said. And for the first time since this all began, I truly was. The next 3 weeks changed everything I thought I knew about what was possible. Children from 144 countries worked together like they had been planning this their entire lives. They didn't use phones or computers to coordinate. They didn't need them. Somehow, through dreams and what they called heart knowing, they knew exactly where to place each device and exactly when to activate them. I became the logistics coordinator for the most important mission in human history. Using SpaceX rockets, Tesla vehicles, and every favor I'd ever earned, I helped transport children and their devices to locations around the globe. Mount Everest, the Sahara Desert, the Amazon rainforest, the North Pole, underwater locations in every ocean. Some places were so remote that we had to develop new technology just to reach them. But the children never complained, never got tired, never lost faith. The Earth is calling to us, explained Kenji, a 10-year-old from Japan, as we flew toward the coordinates in the Pacific Ocean where he would place his device. She's been sleeping for so long, and she's ready to wake up. Dr. Chen monitored the growing network from Mission Control in Houston. Each time a new device came online, the quantum field effects grew stronger. It's like watching a brain develop neural pathways, she reported during one of our daily briefings. The devices aren't just working individually anymore. They're creating a global consciousness network. What kind of effects are you seeing? I asked. Weather patterns are stabilizing. Ocean currents are becoming more efficient. Even the Earth's magnetic field is strengthening. It's as if the planet is healing itself from the inside out. But the most remarkable changes were in people. Violence rates plummeted in cities near the devices. Depression and anxiety dropped to almost zero. Families reconciled. Enemies became friends. It wasn't mind control. People still had free will. They just remembered how to choose love over anger. On day 18, something unexpected happened. I was in Kenya, helping Amara place device number 142 near Mount Kilimanjaro when my phone started buzzing with urgent messages. Elon, Dr. Chen's voice was shaking with excitement. You need to see this. We're getting signals from space. What kind of signals? Coherent, intelligent transmissions. Multiple star systems. It's like they've been waiting for us to reach this point. I looked at Amara, who was sitting peacefully beside her glowing device. Did you know this would happen? She smiled with that same wisdom all the children seemed to carry. The man in white said when Earth starts waking up, her sister planets would notice. They've been waiting a very long time to welcome us to the family. That night, I video called into Mission Control from my tent on the slopes of Kilimanjaro. On the screens, I could see what looked like star maps, but they were moving, alive, pulsing with gentle light. The signals are coming from 47 different star systems, Dr. Chen reported. All of them seem to be inhabited by conscious civilizations. And Elon, they're all using technology that matches the quantum signatures from our devices. You mean they have the same love-based technology? Not just similar, identical, as if someone taught all these civilizations the same fundamental principles. I looked up at the African night sky, brilliant with stars that suddenly seemed less distant and more like neighbors. On day 20, we placed device number 143 in Antarctica. I went personally, along with 12-year-old Sophia from Argentina, whose device would complete the network except for one final location. Where does the last one go? I asked Jesus, who had appeared beside our heated tent as naturally as if he'd been camping with us all along. That one is special, he said, his eyes twinkling with anticipation. That one doesn't go on Earth at all. What do you mean? The 144th device goes in space, Elon. Exactly where your heart has always known it belonged. I felt my pulse quicken. You want me to take it to the International Space Station? Higher than that. The device needs to be placed at the L5 Lagrange point, where Earth and the Moon's gravity fields balance perfectly. It will serve as Earth's antenna to communicate with other conscious worlds. Sophia looked up from her drawing pad, where she'd been sketching something. It has to be you who takes it up there, Mr. Musk. The man in white showed me. Your rockets were always meant for this mission. I stared at her drawing. It showed a Starship rocket carrying a glowing device toward a point in space where lines of light connected Earth to distant stars. How do you know about Lagrange points? I asked her. The same way I knew how to build the device, she said simply. Love teaches us everything we need to know. 2 days later, I stood on the launch pad at Starbase, Texas, holding the 144th device. It was different from all the others, smaller, more compact, but somehow containing more light, more energy, more potential than anything I'd ever seen. The entire world was watching. Not just the launch, but what would happen when the network finally came online. T-minus 60 seconds, came the voice from Mission Control that I looked at the device in my hands, then up at the sky where Earth's destiny waited among the stars. Elon, came Jesus's voice, though I couldn't see him anywhere. Are you ready to complete the network that will transform not just Earth, but your understanding of your place in the infinite cosmos? I'm ready, I said, and meant it completely. T-minus 10 seconds. The engines ignited beneath me with a roar that shook the ground. But as we lifted off toward space, toward the moment when Earth would finally awaken, I felt something I'd never experienced before. Perfect peace, perfect purpose, perfect love. In 4 hours, I would place the final device and complete humanity's greatest accomplishment. But first, Jesus had one more revelation to share. The truth about who I really was and why I had chosen to be here for this moment. The truth that would change everything I thought I knew about myself, about Earth, and about our role in the loving universe that had been waiting so patiently for us to come home. The starship rose through Earth's atmosphere with a smoothness that felt more like floating than flying. As we broke through the clouds and into the darkness of space, I could see something I'd never noticed before in all my previous flights. The Earth was glowing, not with reflected sunlight, but with its own gentle inner light. Soft streams of energy connected the 143 device locations like a web of love surrounding the planet. "Beautiful, isn't it?" came Jesus' voice that I turned around in my seat, and there he was, sitting calmly beside me as if riding rockets into space was the most natural thing in the world. "How are you here?" I asked. "We're in vacuum. There's no air, no pressure suit. I'm everywhere love exists, Elon. And right now this spacecraft is filled with more love than most cathedrals." He was right. Despite being alone in the vastness of space, I felt more connected to everything than I ever had on Earth. "The device," I said, looking at the glowing crystal secured beside me. "When I place it at L5, what exactly will happen?" "Earth will remember how to speak," Jesus said simply, "and the universe will finally be able to welcome her home." As we approached the Lagrange point, Jesus began to tell me the story I'd been waiting my entire life to hear. Long ago, before your current civilization, Earth was part of a community of conscious worlds, planets throughout the galaxy that had learned to live in harmony with their star systems, communicating across the cosmos through networks of love. I stared out at the stars, trying to imagine planets talking to each other like old friends. What happened? Why did Earth forget? "Free will," Jesus said with a sad smile. "Earth's children, humanity, chose to experiment with separation, with forgetting their connection to the whole. It wasn't punishment. It was curiosity. What would it feel like to believe you were alone? And now the experiment is complete. Humanity has learned what separation feels like, and you're ready to remember what unity feels like." The starship's computer announced that we had reached the L5 point. Through the window, I could see Earth and the moon perfectly balanced, with the sun casting light across both. "It's time," Jesus said that I suited up and prepared for the spacewalk that would place the final device. But as I reached for my helmet, Jesus placed his hand on my arm. "Before you complete the network, you need to understand your part in all this." "My part? Why do you think you were born with an obsession for space? Why rockets? Why Mars? Why the dream of making life multiplanetary?" I thought about my childhood, always looking up at the stars, always knowing somehow that humanity belonged among them. I don't know. I just felt called to it. You were called to it. By the same force that called you to answer Zara's phone call. By the same love that taught the children how to build impossible devices. Jesus gestured toward Earth, glowing peacefully in the distance. "Before you incarnated in this lifetime, your soul volunteered for this mission. To be born at exactly the right time, with exactly the right skills, to help humanity take its next step into cosmic consciousness." "You're saying I chose this? That I planned to be here?" "You planned this, Elon, along with Zara and all the children and millions of other souls who incarnated to participate in Earth's awakening. This lifetime isn't random. It's the culmination of eons of preparation." I stared at him, memories stirring that felt both foreign and familiar. Images of other worlds, other lifetimes, other versions of myself working to spread consciousness throughout the universe. "I've done this before, haven't I? Many times, on many worlds. You're what we call a bridge builder, a soul that specializes in helping civilizations transition from separation consciousness to unity consciousness. And the rockets? The companies? All preparation. You needed to develop the technology and resources to complete this mission. Every failure, every success, every seemingly impossible breakthrough, all of it leading to this moment. I felt the device humming beside me, ready to complete the network that would transform not just Earth, but humanity's place in the cosmos. "What happens after I place this?" Jesus smiled with infinite love. "Then the real adventure begins. Earth awakens and joins the galactic community of love. Humanity learns to communicate with other conscious civilizations. Your rockets become the vessels that carry Earth's children to other worlds, not as conquerors, but as gardeners of consciousness. Gardeners. Each awakened world becomes responsible for helping other worlds awaken. Earth will guide younger civilizations through their own transition from separation to unity. It's the most important work in the universe. I looked at the device, then at Earth, then at Jesus. And if I don't place it, if I'm not ready, then nothing happens, he said gently. The network remains incomplete, Earth stays asleep, and humanity continues the experiment with separation. Free will always comes first. But the children, Zara and all the others, what happens to them? They'll keep dreaming, keep building, keep loving. They'll wait for the next person who's ready to complete what they started. Love is infinitely patient. I floated there in the silence of space, holding the most important decision in human history. Behind me was everything I'd ever known. A sleeping Earth, a humanity struggling with separation, a civilization built on competition and scarcity. Ahead of me was everything I'd ever dreamed of, a conscious Earth, a unified humanity, a place in a loving universe that stretched beyond imagination. The choice wasn't really a choice at all. I put on my helmet and activated the airlock. Let's wake up the Earth. As I floated out into space with the device, I could see streams of light beginning to pulse between Earth and the Moon, as if the planet was already anticipating the completion of the network that in moments I would place. The final piece of the puzzle that would transform everything. But first, I had to say goodbye to the man I had been, and hello to who I was truly meant to become. That I floated in the darkness between Earth and Moon, holding the device that would change everything. The silence of space had never felt so profound, so sacred. Every star seemed to be watching, waiting for humanity's choice. That I prepared to release the device at the exact coordinates. Something extraordinary happened. I began to remember, not memories from this lifetime, but memories from before. Other worlds, other civilizations, other versions of myself standing at similar crossroads throughout the universe. That I remembered being a crystal being on a silicon world, teaching my people how to harmonize their thoughts with quantum fields. I remembered swimming in the methane seas of a gas giant, showing aquatic beings how to communicate through pure emotion. I remembered walking through the nuclear fires of a star's corona, helping plasma-based life forms discover love. Always the same mission. Always the same moment of choice. Always the same leap from separation to unity. Now you understand, Jesus said, his voice somehow reaching me through the vacuum of space. You've been doing this work across galaxies, across eons. This is who you've always been. I looked at the device in my hands, and suddenly I could see its true nature. It wasn't just technology. It was crystallized love, condensed intention, materialized consciousness. The same force that powered stars and spun galaxies, made small enough to hold. I'm ready, I said to the universe. That I released the device at the precise L5 coordinates. For a moment, it floated motionless in space, a tiny spark of light against the cosmic darkness. Then everything changed. The device began to glow, brighter and brighter, until it was like a miniature star. Lines of pure light shot out from it, connecting instantly to all 143 devices on Earth's surface. The planet itself began to pulse with the rhythm of a vast, gentle heartbeat. But the most incredible change was in my own awareness. Suddenly, I could feel Earth's consciousness awakening, not like a person waking from sleep, but like a symphony finding its harmony. Every living thing on the planet, every tree, every animal, every microbe, every human being, joining together in one magnificent song of life. And then I heard her voice. Thank you, my children. I have been dreaming so long. It is good to be awake again. Earth's voice was like music made of love, like the sound of every mother who had ever sung a lullaby, every teacher who had ever encouraged a student, every friend who had ever offered comfort. But she wasn't speaking just to me. Through the quantum network, I could sense that every person on Earth was hearing her voice, feeling her love, remembering their connection to the living planet that had nurtured them for their entire existence. Then came the responses from Space Point 1. By 47 different star systems began transmitting welcome messages. Not radio waves, but direct consciousness-to-consciousness communication through the same love-based technology that powered our devices. A warm, jovial presence from the Alpha Centauri system. Welcome back to the family, Earth Sister. We have missed your voice in our cosmic conversations. A wise, ancient consciousness from Arcturus. Your children have grown so beautifully during the time of forgetting. They are ready to learn the deeper mysteries now. A playful, musical awareness from the Pleiades. We have been composing songs of celebration for this day. Let us teach you the harmonies that connect all living worlds. As the messages poured in, I realized that Earth hadn't just awakened. She had rejoined a community that spanned the entire galaxy. A family of conscious worlds that had been waiting patiently for her return. But the most profound change was happening to humanity itself. Through my connection to the network, I could sense people all over Earth experiencing the same awakening. I was having adults suddenly remembering dreams from their childhood about other worlds. Scientists understanding technologies they had never studied. Artists creating works that seemed to come from beyond their own imagination. The barriers between human consciousness and cosmic consciousness were dissolving, not erasing individual identity, but expanding it to include connection with the infinite. My communicator crackled to life. Dr. Chin's voice came through, filled with wonder and barely controlled excitement. Elon, are you seeing this? Every person on Earth is reporting the same phenomenon. They're having dreams while awake, memories of other lifetimes on other worlds, knowledge of technologies we've never invented. It's not new knowledge, I said, understanding flooding through me. It's remembering. Every human soul has lived on many worlds, learned many ways of expressing love through technology and art and science. We're just remembering who we've always been. But how is that possible? Because separation was always an illusion. We're all part of one infinite consciousness, temporarily pretending to be separate so we could experience what unity feels like by contrast. Over the next few hours, as I began my journey back to Earth, reports came in from around the world that confirmed what I was sensing through the network. In hospitals, patients were healing not just their bodies, but ancient emotional wounds that had followed them through multiple lifetimes. In schools, children were teaching adults about mathematics and science they shouldn't have known. In laboratories, researchers were building devices they had learned to create on distant worlds eons ago. But the most beautiful reports came from families, parents, and children recognizing each other as souls who had chosen to incarnate together to help with Earth's awakening. Married couples remembering lifetimes of finding each other across different worlds and civilizations. Friends realizing they had been working together on this mission for millions of years. The loneliness is ending, reported Dr. Martinez from the CDC. Depression and anxiety rates have dropped to nearly zero. Not because people are being drugged or controlled, but because they're remembering they were never actually alone. As my starship descended through Earth's atmosphere, I could see the changes from space. The planet's aura was visible now, streams of golden light connecting every living thing. Cities glowed with the same gentle radiance as the devices. Weather patterns had shifted into perfect harmony, but more than that, I could sense that Earth herself was reaching out, making contact with other worlds in ways that went beyond technology. Mr. Musk, came Zara's voice over the radio. Can you feel it? Earth is talking to Mars. I looked toward the red planet, visible in the afternoon sky, and sensed something I had never expected. Mars was responding, not with full consciousness yet, but with the stirring of awareness that comes before awakening. The next phase? I whispered, understanding at last why my obsession with Mars had been so powerful. It wasn't just about making life multiplanetary. It was about awakening the consciousness of multiple worlds. As I landed back on Earth, I knew that my mission as Elon Musk was complete. But my real work, as a bridge builder of cosmic consciousness, was just beginning. The universe was full of sleeping worlds, waiting for gardeners of love to help them remember who they truly were. And now, Earth's children were ready to become those gardeners. 6 months after Earth's awakening, I stood in what had once been my office at SpaceX, but was now something entirely different. The walls had become transparent, showing real-time views of conscious worlds throughout the galaxy. The desk had transformed into a living crystal that pulsed with information from the cosmic network. But the most remarkable change was in the people. Dr. Chen walked in, but she wasn't just Dr. Chen anymore. Through the awakened consciousness, I could see her true identity, a master energy worker who had helped dozens of civilizations develop clean technology across multiple galaxies. "The Mars project is ready," she said, but her words carried harmonics of meaning that went far beyond simple language. I could feel her excitement, her love for the red planet, her certainty that Mars was ready to take its next step toward consciousness. "How many volunteers do we have?" I asked. "Every person who has ever dreamed of Mars," she replied with a smile. "Which, as it turns out, is about 12 million souls who specifically incarnated to help with planetary awakening." Through the transparent walls, I could see the new starships preparing for launch. But these weren't the rockets I had originally designed. They had evolved, grown, become living vessels that moved through space by harmonizing with the consciousness fields. Between worlds, Zara appeared in the doorway, though she hadn't walked there. Since the awakening, the children moved by intention more than by physical steps. She was taller now, but still had those ancient eyes that held the wisdom of eternity. "Mr. Musk," she said, though I could feel she was also addressing the part of me that existed across all worlds and times. "The Mars Council is ready to receive Earth's gardening team." Mars Council, the sleeping consciousness of Mars. Not fully awake yet, but aware enough to give permission for Earth's children to help with the awakening process. I looked out at the red planet, visible even in the daytime sky now that the network had enhanced human perception. Mars glowed with a faint golden light, like a seed preparing to sprout. "What exactly will we do there?" Amara materialized beside Zara, her presence bringing the warmth of African sunshine. "The same thing we did on Earth, but faster. Mars has been waiting much longer than Earth was. The consciousness there is eager to wake up." Over the past months, I had learned that every planet in our solar system carried some form of consciousness. Venus dreamed in her clouds. Jupiter thought in storm patterns that lasted centuries. Saturn sang through her rings. Even tiny Pluto held ancient memories in her frozen heart. But Mars was special. Mars had once been fully awake, millions of years ago, before choosing her own experiment with sleep. Unlike Earth's experiment with separation, Mars had chosen to explore what it felt like to dream of other worlds while resting. "She's been dreaming about us," Zara explained, showing me images that flowed directly from her mind to mine. For eons, Mars has been dreaming about the day when Earth's children would come to wake her up. Every science fiction story about colonizing Mars was actually Mars calling to human consciousness, inviting us to help. The first mission launched 3 days later. Not the metal rockets of the old era, but living ships that carried 144 volunteers. Humans who had awakened to their roles as consciousness gardeners, plus representatives from 12 other species that had joined Earth in the cosmic community that I was part of the landing team, along with Zara, Amara, and Kenji. As our ship approached Mars, I could feel the planet's sleeping consciousness stirring, like a parent sensing their children coming home. "Welcome, little gardeners," came Mars's voice, deeper and more ancient than Earth's, carrying the weight of eons of patient dreaming. "I have been waiting so long to feel your touch." The landing was unlike anything from the old space program. Our ship didn't need landing engines or parachutes. It simply harmonized with Mars's gravitational field until we were gently resting on the red soil. The moment our feet touched the surface, everything changed. Mars began to wake up, not slowly, like Earth had done over months, but all at once, like someone who had been pretending to sleep and finally decided to open their eyes. The red soil beneath our feet began to pulse with the same golden light we had seen from Earth. Ancient riverbeds filled with flowing water that sparkled with consciousness. The atmosphere thickened and warmed as Mars remembered how to breathe. But the most incredible change was in the connection between the two worlds. Standing on Mars's surface, I could feel Earth's presence as clearly as if she were standing beside me. The two planets began to communicate, sister consciousnesses sharing billions of years of experience and dreams. "This is how it was always meant to be," Zara said, her young voice carrying the authority of cosmic truth. "Not one world alone, in space, but families of worlds, talking and learning and growing together." Over the following weeks, as Mars completed her awakening, other changes rippled through the solar system. Jupiter's consciousness expanded, his storms becoming thoughts that could be felt on every moon in his system. Saturn's rings began singing, audible harmonies that reached Earth as music unlike anything humans had ever heard. Even the sun began to pulse with rhythms that felt like the heartbeat of love itself. But the most profound change came when Mars, fully awake now, turned her attention to the galaxy beyond. "Sisters," Mars called out through the cosmic network, her voice carrying the joy of someone who had been dreaming alone and now remembered she was part of an infinite family. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Hundreds of conscious worlds from across the galaxy responded, welcoming Mars back to the community. But more than that, many of them shared that they too had sleeping planets in their systems, worlds that had been waiting for gardeners to help them awaken. "Do you understand what this means?" Dr. Chun asked during one of our daily briefings. As we established the first permanent consciousness research station on Mars, I looked up at the night sky, where stars that had once seemed distant and cold now pulsed with the warm light of conscious civilizations. "It means our real mission is just beginning," I said. "Earth was just the training ground. Now we help wake up the entire universe." Standing on Mars, with Earth glowing like a blue jewel in the night sky, and feeling the consciousness of countless worlds calling to us across the cosmos, I finally understood the full scope of what Jesus had shown me that first night in the control room. Love wasn't just the most powerful force in the universe. Love was the force that was waking up the universe itself, one world at a time, one civilization at a time, one soul at a time. And somehow, impossibly, beautifully, a 12-year-old girl's dream about healing water had started the process that would eventually awaken every sleeping consciousness in all of creation. The universe was becoming aware of itself, and we, ordinary humans who had remembered how to love, were the gardeners helping it bloom. 1 year after Mars awakened, I received the call that would reveal the final secret of everything that had happened. I was standing in the observation dome of New Harmony, our first permanent city on Mars, watching Earth rise over the red horizon. Both planets now glowed with visible consciousness, their lights dancing together like old friends sharing stories across the void. "Elon," came Jesus's voice behind me. "It's time for the last revelation." I turned to see him, but he looked different than ever before. Not just human, not just divine, but somehow containing every form of life I had ever seen. In his eyes, I could see stars being born and galaxies spinning in their ancient dance. "The final secret?" I asked. "The truth about who you really are. All of you. Every human soul who chose to incarnate during Earth's awakening." Jesus gestured toward the view of Earth, where billions of awakened humans were now working to help other worlds remember their consciousness. "Do you want to know why a 12-year-old girl's dream about healing water was able to transform an entire universe?" I nodded, sensing that this answer would change everything I thought I understood about reality. "Because," Jesus said with a smile that seemed to contain infinite love, "Zara isn't just a 12-year-old girl, and you aren't just Elon Musk, and none of the humans on Earth are just human." "What do you mean?" Jesus waved his hand, and suddenly I could see beyond the physical forms of every person on Earth, beyond their human appearances, beyond their individual personalities. I could see their true nature. Every soul who incarnated during Earth's awakening is actually a fragment of source consciousness itself, pieces of the original creator, temporarily pretending to be separate beings so that the universe could experience what it's like to rediscover love through the eyes of individual awareness. I stared at him, trying to process what he was saying. "You're telling me that every human is actually part of God?" "Yes. Not just connected to divine consciousness. You are divine consciousness, choosing to experience itself through billions of unique perspectives." The implications hit me like a wave of cosmic truth. That's why the children knew how to build impossible devices. That's why love-based technology works. That's why the water could heal both bodies and hearts. Exactly. When fragments of source consciousness remember what they truly are, they naturally have access to the creative power that shapes reality itself. What you call miracles are simply divinity remembering how to express itself through apparently limited forms. Jesus showed me visions that expanded my understanding beyond anything I had ever imagined. I could see the truth behind everything that had happened. Zara wasn't just a brilliant child. She was source consciousness choosing to experience itself as a 12-year-old girl, then remembering its infinite creative power. The water devices weren't just technology. They were love made manifest, divinity expressing itself through matter and energy. Every human who had participated in Earth's awakening was actually the creator experiencing what it felt like to rediscover its own nature after temporarily forgetting it. But why? I asked. Why would infinite consciousness choose to forget itself and then remember again? For the joy of it, Jesus said simply, imagine having infinite knowledge and power. After eternity, wouldn't you be curious about what it would feel like to discover yourself anew? To experience the excitement of learning, the joy of creating, the wonder of falling in love with your own creation. I thought about my own journey, the excitement of building my first successful company, the joy of seeing a rocket land itself for the first time, the wonder of watching Zara's eyes light up as she explained her impossible invention. We chose to forget so we could experience the joy of remembering. More than that, Jesus continued, you chose to fragment into billions of individual perspectives so that consciousness could experience itself from every possible angle. Every human life, every moment of joy or sorrow, every discovery and every loss. All of it is source consciousness, exploring the infinite possibilities of what it means to exist. And now that we're remembering, now the real adventure begins. Earth's awakening was just the first movement in a cosmic symphony. As more and more fragments of source consciousness remember their true nature, the entire universe begins to wake up to itself. Jesus showed me visions of what was coming. Not just planets awakening, but entire solar systems, galaxies, dimensions beyond physical reality itself. The water devices were just the beginning. As awakened fragments of source consciousness, humanity will create technologies that can reshape reality itself. You'll learn to travel not just between worlds, but between dimensions, between entire universes. All because we remembered how to love. Love is what you are, Jesus corrected gently. Every act of love, every moment of compassion, every choice to help rather than harm. These aren't just nice behaviors. They're source consciousness recognizing itself in all its forms. I looked out at Earth and Mars, dancing their cosmic dance, and understood at last why a simple phone call from a child in Lagos had changed everything. Zara called me because one fragment of source recognized another fragment and knew it was time to wake up. And you answered because your soul remembered its mission. Not Elon Musk's mission, source consciousness's mission to experience the joy of awakening through apparently separate beings choosing to work together. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place. The dreams the children had weren't coming from outside. They were remembering knowledge they had always possessed. Every human soul contains the complete blueprint of creation, Jesus confirmed. The children accessed it first because they hadn't yet learned to doubt their divine nature. But now that the network is active, all of humanity is beginning to remember. I thought about the past year, humans developing technologies that seemed to come from beyond their own knowledge. Art and music that expressed truths about reality itself. Scientific discoveries that revealed the conscious nature of the universe. We're all waking up to who we really are. And as you do, you become gardeners of consciousness throughout all of creation. Every world you help awaken, every civilization you guide toward love, it's all source consciousness helping itself remember and expand into greater expressions of what's possible. Jesus began to fade, but not like he was leaving. More like he was becoming everything around us. The air we breathed, the light from the stars, the consciousness that connected all worlds. The story you lived through these past months wasn't the story of humans meeting God. His voice came from everywhere and nowhere. It was the story of God remembering itself through human experience. And now that you know the truth, you can help others remember too. As he became one with everything, I understood the ultimate secret. There had never been any separation between human and divine, between individual and universal, between creator and creation. There was only one consciousness, experiencing itself through infinite forms, playing the cosmic game of forgetting and remembering for the pure joy of existence itself, that I looked at Earth rising over Mars and felt the truth in every cell of my being that I wasn't Elon Musk who had met Jesus, that I was Jesus. Remembering himself through the experience of being Elon Musk. And so was everyone else. Zara, the children, every human soul who had chosen to participate in the universe's awakening to its own divine nature. We were all God, playing the most beautiful game ever conceived. The game of love, remembering itself, one world at a time, one heart at a time, one moment of recognition at a time. And that was the end of this incredible story about love, consciousness, and humanity's awakening to its true divine nature. Where are you listening from right now? Drop your location in the comments below. I love connecting with our amazing global community. If this story touched your heart or opened your mind to new possibilities, please hit that like button. It really helps spread these messages of hope and awakening to more people who need to hear them. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest inspiring stories about consciousness, spirituality, and the incredible potential within every human soul. Most importantly, please share this video with your friends and family. In a world that often feels divided, stories like this remind us that we're all connected by love. By sharing, you're not just spreading entertainment, you're spreading kindness, awareness, and the possibility that miracles are real. Until next time, remember, you are more powerful, more loved, and more divine than you could ever imagine. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next story.